Howdy folks, how are y'all doing? My name is Cub and I would like to welcome you to my beginner's guide for Industrial Craft 2, the experimental build. What does that mean? Well, I am playing right now in the Direwolves 20 1.7.10 mod pack, and so for sure, this is the version of Industrial Craft you'll get in that. If you're playing something different, something like Tekkit Legends, there's actually this completely different version of Industrial Craft called Industrial Craft Classic. I have a completely different video for that. I'll put a link in the description. I'll put a link on the screen. You're going to want to go watch that because none of this is going to make sense to you otherwise. However, if you're playing in Feed the Beast or most other modern packs, this is the version you're looking for, the quote experimental build. I don't know why they call it that. It's been called that for years now. You'd think it wouldn't be experimental anymore. In any case, I'm going to be walking you folks through the steps for getting started with the mod, and I hope you find it entertaining and enjoyable and educational. Educational last, because let's face it, once I turn around, I'm going to turn into a bumbling fool. Let's just give it a try, though. So, to get started, you're going to want to head down deep underground and find your Minecraft vanilla items. Heavy emphasis here on iron and redstone. Coal will also be useful as a fuel. We'll cover that later. Lapis, gold, and diamond, while not useful in the beginning, will be useful later on. Basically, if you see any of these things, go ahead and collect them. Next up, we're going to get to some Industrial Craft 2 specific items here. So if you find copper or tin, definitely get it. You're going to need both of these. Lead, not so much early on. You're going to need it later, though, so if you can, go ahead and get it. Uranium, if you're going to be getting into nuclear energy, get it. Even if you don't think you're going to, I'd recommend go ahead and mining it anyway, because if later you decide you do want to build a reactor and then you have to go out and find uranium, you're going to wish you'd been collecting it from the beginning. So if you have a tool that can harvest it, redstone level I believe it is in this pack, go ahead and just get it anyway. But really, heavy emphasis here on tin, on copper, on iron, and on redstone. Those are going to be the four you definitely cannot do without. Now, you'll see here I have some other versions of copper and tin. I've got some Project Red Exploration tin, some Forestry for Minecraft, some Thermal Foundation, Tinker's Construct Copper right here. What I've got this set up here for is to demonstrate something really cool called the Ore Dictionary, a mod that many people don't seem to know exists, but makes life a lot easier for you, because it means that no matter what version of tin that you find, no matter what version of copper you find, you can use it with Industrial Craft 2. So yes, you don't have to specifically look for IC2 tin or IC2 copper. These aren't the old days. What do you think this is? Minecraft Beta 1.2? What? Come on, get with it. We have cool mods now that allow you to use any tin, any copper. So don't even sweat it, just find what you can. Next up, on the surface, you're going to want to find a nifty tree like this one. This is a IC2 rubberwood tree. They're pretty easy to spot, as if we take a step back, they've got usually 2 or 3 extra blocks of leaves off the top. Kind of looks like it's giving you a rude hand gesture there, but don't let that discourage you. What you're going to do is build a tree tap. I've already got one on me here, and you're going to walk around this rubber tree until you find right here, that is sticky resin. If we right-click with our tree tap, we'll collect some. Again, I already had some in my inventory. Next up, I would recommend cutting down all the leaves so that you can hopefully get a sapling from them. Just so you know, their saplings are pretty rare. I usually only get 1 per tree, so breeding them is going to be slow going. I also recommend leaving the rubber wood in place. If you leave the rubber wood alone, it will over time produce some more sticky resin. There's another piece back here. I guess we can go ahead and collect it. Before the end of the video, maybe some more sticky resin will fill in here and I can kind of demo that. But definitely leave the rubber wood. If it's close to your base, leave it in place. There's no reason to cut it down because it will generate more over time. And that is very, very useful. Now, what do you do with sticky resin? Well, you're going to smelt it into rubber, and then you're going to use that rubber along with copper cables. And don't worry, I'll cover this here in a second as well. That'll give you an insulated copper cable, and this is the basis for a lot of the electronics in IC2, so rubber is very important. Now, this will vary from pack to pack, but in Direwolf 20 specifically, and probably most other packs, you can use other types of rubber. So as you can see here, I've got rubber from Mine Factory Reloaded next to the Industrial Craft 2 copper cable. As you can see, it's giving me an insulated copper cable. The best way, if you just hover over the item you want to build and tap R, it'll show you the recipe, and if you wait a couple seconds, it'll show you the different items that you can use. And so in this case, you can use a rubber bar from Mine Factory Reloaded or rubber from Industrial Craft 2. Very, very useful. Good to know. Moving on, the next thing you're going to want to build is your first tool. This is called a forge hammer. All you need is 5 pieces of iron and 2 sticks. You can create the forge hammer, and you're going to use this to hammer down ingots, iron ingots, let's see, bronze ingots, I think tin ingots, gold ingots, all the ingots. You hammer them down, and that'll give you an iron plate. Now, there's a machine that'll do this later on that's a bit more advanced. We won't cover it in this video. For right now, just build your forge hammer. Use that to create iron plates. You're going to need iron plates to create the next device, the cutter. So 3 iron plates. If you don't know how to build it, you're not paying attention. So 3 iron plates, 2 iron ingots will make your cutters, and cutters are important for creating copper cables. So your cutter, and in this case a copper plate, you cut the copper plate, you get 2 cables. I use copper in this scenario because you can only use the cutters with copper, tin, and gold plates. If you want to create a high voltage cable, something we're not going to touch on here today, you're going to need a machine to do it. Sorry, but your cutters just can't cut through that iron. You got to have these softer metals here. So that is how you get your copper cable. And then, as we discussed earlier, you just put a piece of rubber next to that, and you can get an insulated copper cable. Everyone trekking so far? Now, this here specifically is where Industrial Craft 2 Experimental really differs from Industrial Craft Classic. In Industrial Craft Classic, you're not going to have cutters. You're not going to have a hammer. If you find that neither of these items exist, go watch the other video. All right, now that we've created the copper cables, though, we are ready to build the first little device here, the first furnace. You're going to need your iron plates that you got using your hammer. So once again, hammer out your iron, put 5 iron plates in here with a furnace. You probably already have one. You need to recycle it. This will create the iron furnace. Now, the iron furnace, I've already did a little test in here. I wanted to make sure. Now, your standard furnace here will take a single piece of coal and only devour about 8 items. The iron furnace, though, will cover 10 items for a single piece of coal and do it at a rate of 8 seconds per item instead of 10 seconds per item. So it's faster and it's more efficient and it's pretty easy to build. You're going to have 2 of these anyway for some recipes I'm going to show you coming up here in just a second. So go ahead and just build one, use it. It's pretty useful. It's a pretty good deal there. Next up, we're going to take, hey, look at that iron furnace I told you to build. How convenient. Because you're going to need that, you're going to need some iron plates and a battery to create the generator. Now, this is the easiest way to make power for Industrial Craft 2 machines. They do not use Minecraft Flux. They do not use any of the other types of energy you might try to get in a mod pack. They have to use EUs, electrical units, and the only thing I know of that generates them is items specifically from Industrial Craft 2. Now, some mods have conversion devices that'll convert, let's say, Minecraft Flux into EUs. I'm not going to cover those here today because this is specifically for Industrial Craft. If you specifically need power for Industrial Craft, you need to build something along the lines of a generator. There's other ways of generating power in Industrial Craft 2. We might cover those in the future. This is the easiest one to build, though. It's the easiest one to operate. As you can see, iron furnace, already covered it. Iron plates, already covered it. The battery might look confusing at first, but it's just a tin cable. So hammer out a piece of tin. That'll give you the tin plate. Cut the tin plate. That'll give you the tin cables. Combine that with some rubber, you'll get an insulated tin cable, and then the tin item casings is just you hammer out the tin ingot into a plate, hammer the plate into the casing, voila, you got your battery, you have your generator. Here is our generator. We're going to, in this case, we're going to put a piece of coal in there. However, anything that burns, you can put in a generator. It has an internal buffer here, and this is pretty good. I think it stores about a coal's worth of energy, but as you can see, it's not working right now because it is outputting power to these other machines that I've built that we're about to cover. However, once all those machines are full on power, it'll begin storing items in the buffer. Now, I have all the machines collected using an insulated copper cable. This is perfectly acceptable if all your machines are close together. However, if you're going to be stretching them out pretty far, you need to be using a different type of cable because there's a lot of power drop when using copper cables. Again, more advanced. If you're just starting out, you want to keep all your machines together anyway. We'll cover other means of carrying power maybe in a future video, but that's how you build your generator. That's how you produce energy to get started. Next up, your first machine. Are you excited? This is the first machine you're going to be building in IC2 that uses electricity. This is called the macerator. Macerating is great. Macerating is the best thing in the game. Macerating takes, well, let's say iron ore, if we take 1 iron ore here, it'll split it into 2 crushed iron, and then those 2 crushed iron will make 2 ingots, so you double your ore. That's why it's very important that you don't go ahead and process all of the ores you mined early game. Save as many of them as you can, only use the bare minimum that you need, because now you're going to be able to double them. The recipe is very simple. Like I said earlier, you're going to need a few pieces of flint, some cobblestone, basic machine casing. Don't let that one scare you. It's just a donut made of iron plates. Easy enough. Electronic circuit, that is just 2 redstone, some insulated copper cables, and an iron plate. You know how to do all of this already. Macerator. Do a quick demonstration of it. As you can see, it is getting power from our generator. And also, I should go ahead and say, if you put the macerator directly next to the generator, they will share power without needing cables. However, you will need cables to go from the generator to another machine. I guess you could set it up generator, and then a macerator, and then another machine. Anyway, the cables are... Yeah, we're getting off subject, okay? We're going to put a piece of iron in there, and as you can see, it's putting off smoke because it's working really hard. It's grinding away right now at all that ore. It's getting rid of all the impurities, and it's give us only the purest lumps of crushed iron ore right there. Look at that. As you can see, we did get 2, so 1 iron ore gives us 2 crushed iron. That'll give us 2 bars. I'm trying to make sure that everyone leaves this video understanding that, yes, it doubles the ore. I don't want any confusion about that. Because in the past, when I've talked about this thing, people have just, what's the point? Why would I want to break it? Why would I want to crush it up if I could just melt it? I don't know how the fact that it doubles the ore goes over people's heads, but it does. So just make a note, mental note, or real note. Get a Sharpie, write it on your hand, or don't. Do what you want to. We're going to need another iron furnace, though, for the next guy, and that is the electric furnace. It's like a furnace, but it uses electricity. It's in the name. So furnace, or iron furnace, you know how to do that. Furnace, some iron plates, a couple pieces of redstone. Electronic circuit, you've built this before. You can do this. This is pretty easy. And here's what it looks like. Now, you might have noticed with the macerator, same here with the electric furnace, we have some slots over here. These are for adding upgrades, speed upgrades, transformer upgrades, so you don't blow it up if you build a nuclear reactor. Things of that nature. We're not going to touch on those today because, again, those are a bit more advanced. What we're going to do is go ahead and put our crushed iron ore in there. Remember, just one more time. 1 iron ore makes 2 crushed ore, makes 2 iron ingots. It doubles it. Can we all agree? Do we all understand? I doubt it. But there you go. And the best thing about the electric furnace is because it uses electricity, it does not waste resources. For instance, if I wanted to cook up 2 items in an iron furnace, I should say, that would be a piece of coal wasted. However, the electric furnace will only use the amount of electricity it needs to cook up 2 items, and then the rest of it gets stored in the generator or in a battery box if we build one of those later on. Bat box, if you want to look it up yourself. Next up, I'm going to show you one more machine. It's called the extractor. You don't need this one. These 3 machines here are the 3 I recommend building: your generator, your macerator, and your electric furnace. However, this one can be pretty useful. The recipe is simple. You've seen all of this. You've seen tree taps. You have seen the electronic circuit. You have seen the basic machine casing. You can do this. I have faith in you. You can build one of these. And these allow you to place a single sticky resin in. And instead of giving you 1, and I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but if you smelt a single sticky resin, you only get 1 rubber. Whereas if you put them in the extractor and, of course, you apply some energy to it, it's going to need some electricity, it's actually able to extract 3 pieces of rubber instead of just 1. So you can triple your rubber you get from your trees. Now, the one last thing we're going to touch on here is how to move these machines around, because you may be tempted to break them with a pick or a axe or your bare hand. Do not do that. You will 100% break them. And most of them will only drop the item casing that you built earlier. That's not going to help you any. You're going to have to completely rebuild your machine. You're going to be frustrated. Build the wrench. Now, the best thing about mod packs is that there are lots of different versions of wrenches, and in most mod packs, all the different wrenches will work for this. However, just for the sake of this video, this is how you build the industrial craft wrench. It requires some bronze ingots. Bronze ingots is made using bronze dust, which you make by getting yourself 3 crushed copper or pulverized, or however else you want to crush up your copper, and combine them with a single purified dust or crushed tin. So crush a tin, crush 3 copper, put them together, and what have you got? Bronze dust. Smelt that, build your wrench. Now, the wrench isn't perfect. 4 to 5 times, it'll break it fine, and you'll get your item back. But 1 out of 5 times, it'll ruin your machine. So if you break it with a pick, it'll always ruin it. If you break it with a wrench, it'll only ruin it 1 out of 5 times. So that's pretty good. That's better odds. However, you can also build the electric wrench, which requires a small power unit. This might look intimidating, but it's just an electronic circuit. These are just the iron plates hammered into casings. Electric motor, don't let it fool you. 10 item casings, you've done it. Iron, you've definitely done it. Coil, it's just iron with some copper cable around it. It's not that difficult or expensive to build. Once you get it, you got to charge it up, though. It does require electricity. You could do that by just throwing it into a generator, for example. There's other ways to charge it, but early game, this is going to be the best. Now, I should, again, note that this isn't a perfect solution. In its normal state, it's exactly the same as your standard wrench. If you try to break one of these machines with it, 4 out of 5 times you'll be okay. 1 out of 5 times you're going to break your machine, and that's not fun. But there is a lossless mode on this wrench that works to 100% guarantee you will never break a machine. I think that's enough energy. So what you do is you hold down the right-click button and tap M a couple times. I don't know why it takes a few times for it to work, but there you go. Or maybe you don't even have to hold down. No, yeah, you definitely have to hold down. And then just click frequently until you see lossless wrench mode enabled. This will allow you to 100% of the time get your item back. I guess we'll use the extractor in this case. However, it will use not enough energy. See what I mean? It will use almost all of the energy inside of the electric wrench. So if we try that again, it works, but now the wrench is almost completely dead. So we have to go charge it up again before we can use it. That makes it a bit of a pain, but it's better than, you know, potentially losing your items. Now, I think we've covered... Yeah, I think we've covered everything we need to cover here. We've done the basics. Let me just walk you through them one more time to make sure we all understand. Gather your resources. Get your vanilla items. Get your copper. Get your tin. Go out into the world and find your rubber tree. And again, you don't specifically have to use IC2 rubber. You can use the rubber from other mods. Probably, I don't know, depends on the mod pack you're playing. Build yourself a hammer. Build yourself some cutters. And then make these 3 machines specifically. Build your generator to make power, a macerator to double your ore output, and an electric furnace for more efficient furnacing. Yeah, okay. And the extractor, if you use a lot of rubber, it's really handy. I recommend it. Not necessary. These are the 3 golden boys. And then these are the 3 musketeers, and this is D'Artagnan. He just kind of shows up, and he's young, and he's energetic, but, you know, what does he know? Come on, D'Artagnan, get serious. You're never going to be one of the musketeers, all right? But you think it's going to be 3 musketeers and D'Artagnan? No, that's just terrible. D'Artagnan, really. Well, there you go, folks. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful. If you want to see anything else in this mod, let me know. I'm planning to do a video covering specifically energy, how to generate it, and how to store it inside of IC2 Experimental. If you have anything else you want to see, comment down below and let me know. And until next time, thank you, folks, for watching. God bless you, and I'll see you later. Bye.